Hello and good morning. Let's take a look at today's work here. Well, this is the same sign. So when you have the same signs, you add and keep the sign. So that's going to be a -10. This is a double negative, which becomes a plus. Now you have opposite signs, so you subtract. 8 minus 2 is going to give you 6, but you have more negatives. This right here says, what number do you need to make, or what test on the fourth one to get a 70? So what you're going to do is add these up. And divide by 1, 2, 3, 4, and set it equal to, greater than or equal to a 70, because a 70 will be a C. So let's take a look at that. So on this one right here, get your calculator out. And I have some little ones up there. Make sure you get one if you need it. Okay, when I add that up, I get 195 plus x. And so what I'm going to do is multiply by 4, and I think that's going to give me 280. Four times 70. And then I'm going to subtract 195. So minus 195. So to get a 70 or better, let me try that again. 280 minus 195. I get 85. So you'd have to score an 85 or above to get a 70. Okay? And that's how you do that one. Make that a little bit smaller so I have more work area. Okay, on a new sheet of paper, let's go to page 15. Okay, so let's take a look at these. Here's example 1. And again, turn to page 15 in this book. All right, question. How many trips listed in this chart have a frequency distribution, page 14, less than 1,000 miles? Less than 1,000 miles. That would be this right here. So less than 1,000 miles would be all of this. So you got to add these three up. Now, since they give you the cumulative frequency, that means they're adding it up for you. So this one plus this one is this one. These three add up to that one. That is your answer. And if they don't give you the cumulative frequency, you have to add these up. All right, that's example 1. Let's go to example 2. Flip the page. All right, it says, what proportion of the tickets sold had a cost greater than or equal to 400 but less than 499? What proportion? So greater than 400 but less than, greater than or equal to. So here it is right here. 282 is the number of bookings. Okay? So they want to know a proportion. So you're going to put 282 over the total number of bookings. And I'm going to go down here. You would have to add these up, but if I look right here, they already added them up for me. Okay? So if they don't add it up, you got to do that. So it's 1434. So you're going to go ahead and divide that. So 282 divided by 1434, and that gives you 0.197. I'm going to round that off. Okay? And to make it a percent, you move the decimal to the right 2 places. So it's a 19.7%. There it is. And that's this part right here where they want it as a percent. Okay? So you take the number, whatever they want, and you divide it by the total. You add all those up. All right, let's go to this one right here, the spreadsheet. The spreadsheet, if you look, they're adding all this up. They're starting from B2, and they're going all the way to B12. So the way you write that when you have a spreadsheet is like this. So you would say the sum of B2 and then you put a colon all the way to B11. And that's how you would add that sum using a spreadsheet. Okay, you can read through that if you want to. Let's go to the next one. Example 3. I'm on page 18. Okay, so how would you add this one up? You would say the sum of C2 colon all the way to C11. And that's what they have right here. That's the answer. Okay? Example 4, let's take a look here. It says go to page 16, determine the percent of the bookings below 600. So let's go to page 16. And let's go below 600. So here's below 600 would be these. So the bookings below 600 would be all of this. So you'd have to add all those up right there. Let me make sure I read that right. Determine the percent of the bookings below 600. All right, so what you have to do is add these up right here. So it's going to be 70, clear it out, plus 120, plus 310, plus 282, plus 168. Press equals. Okay, so the total here is 950 over the total amount of bookings, which is this right here, 1434. So you're going to go ahead and divide 950 divided by 1434. And when you do, you get 0.662. And you're going to move it over and get 66.2%. There it is, and that's how you do that. All right, example 4, we did that with the percent, and that's pretty much it. So your assignment, looks like there's an example 5, but we're going to skip that one for now. So your assignment is right here. So write this down. I'm going to put it on the homework wall. Remember, this Friday, homework is due. All right, that takes care of that class. Let's turn our attention to the new class, or a different class, and this is the college algebra period 7. Okay? So here, you have different denominators in your adding, so you need the same denominator. So 4 times 5 is 20. We're going to use 20 as the least common denominator. It actually is. So I'm going to multiply by 5 on this one. 4 times 5 is 20. This one I got to do a 4. So 5 times 3 is going to be 15x over 20 plus 4x over 20, which gives me 19x over 20. And that's my answer. Okay, make sure you can do that. When you multiply straight across. So 3 times 5 is going to be 15x, and that's going to be 60. And then you can reduce by 5. 5 goes into 15 3 times, and 5 goes into that, I think, 12 times. Looks like you could go again. 3 goes into 3 once, 3 goes into this 4, so I'm going to say x over 4. Make sure you understand how to reduce. Before I go any further on this, there was a problem yesterday, and I want to take a look at it. Someone had a question on it. I think it was number, I'll find it in just a second. Okay. All right, here it is right here. Okay, this one was on page 13, and here's the answer here. The price of an item is within that amount. So that means you're going to add and subtract 0.03. And when you do, it's going to be this right here. And up to here. So I'm going to go with number 2 on that one. This one says that it can deviate by that amount right here. So you're going to subtract this minus that, and then you're going to add that as well. And it could be within that range. So since it could be within that range, I'm going to go with the bracket on that one. Okay, let's talk about today's work. On a new sheet of paper, I want you to try these right here. Copy those down. Turn to page 14 and 15 and try all of these. Put down what you think, and then I'll show you. Okay? All right, so let's take a look. Now, there's a difference between these two right here. Like this one, the -2 is squared. The negative is squared, and the 2 is squared. So that's a -2 times a -2. With negative times a negative, that gives you a +4. But on this one right here, only the 2 is squared, not the negative. Be careful with that. There's no parentheses. So on number 2, it's going to be a negative, and it's going to be 2 2's, not 2 negatives. It's tricky, but that's the way you do it. Make sure you understand that. On this one, the negative is squared and the 2 is squared. On this one, only the 2 is squared, not the negative. Kind of tricky. This one right here, everything is going to be to the 3rd power. So on this one right here, you're going to say 3 to the 3rd power over 4 to the 3rd power. So you get 3 times 3 times 3, which is 27, over 4 times 4 times 4, which is 64. And there it is right there. Make sure you understand that. This one right here, you have the same base, so you could technically subtract these exponents. Or you could write it out 5 times, which is a little more work, and write this one out 8 times. And when you do, cancel, and you're left with 1 over 3 to the 3rd power, which is 1 over 27. Don't put 9, it's 3 times 3 times 3. Now the better way to work this is to subtract your exponents. Move this one up, so you're going to get 3 to the 5 minus 8, which gives you 3 to the -3, and then you got to drop this down and get 1 over 3 to the 3rd power, which equals that right there. Okay, make sure you understand. I would rather you subtract your exponents rather than expanding it out. But if you have to, expand it out. This one right here, only the 2, or rather the x, is to the negative power. Okay? So what you're going to do is drop the x down. Okay? The exponent changes when you go up or down. So I'm going to get 2 over x squared, and that's your answer. Okay? You don't drop them both down, you only drop the x down. Okay, copy these two down and then I'll get you started. All right, listen carefully. When you multiply, you add exponents. So watch. -3 times 4 is a -12. A to the 1 times a to the 1. 1 plus 1 gives you a squared. You got to add that up. And this gives you b. 4 plus a -3 gives you a +1. And you can put the 1 if you want, but you don't have to, and I usually don't. Okay? When you multiply, you add exponents. Say that to yourself so you know. When you divide, you subtract exponents. Last one for today. You see how this whole thing is in parentheses and it's to a negative power? You flip it. So it's going to be y over 3x squared to the +2. And now everything inside here gets a 2. So it's going to be y to the second, 3 to the second, and x squared to the second. This is called a power to a power. So you're going to multiply that. 3 times 3 is 9. 2 times 2 is 4, and you're done. And that's how you do that. Here's your assignment for today. There's a lot of work in this section, so I'm going to cut it short. 36 problems. All right, have a good morning. I'll see you in class.